Welcome, dear students. In the previous classes, we have discussed about the media basic copyrights like Copyright Act, intellectual rights, and Human Rights Commission, media, and how the media be aware while writing the news related to the children, women, and state level, Human Rights Commission, and what is human rights, the structure of the NHRC and SHRC, we have discussed in the previous class. Today we will discuss about the media ethics. In this unit, I will be explain about the basic ethical theory and historical perspective of ethics, and what is self-regulation by the media, what is the legal regulation by the various commissions, and legal rights, responsibilities of rights, the responsibilities of journalists, and social responsibility of the press, how to be conducted esteeming journalism, and while reporting the issues related to the violence, gender, religion, caste, how to be tackled all these items in this. As a journalism students, you must be known about all these. Let us discuss one by one in a detail. Let's move to discuss about the ethical journalism. Ethical journalism is thinking journalism, means while we are writing or broadcasting, whatever it is, we think something. So whether it is a fair or not, accurate or not, well informed or not. So all this we will think before we are publishing or broadcasting. So that is, in general, we call it as a thinking journalism. What it is provides? It provides fair, accurate, informed, and reflective coverage of events and issues that are important to people and society. But to be ethical journalists need time to think, no more so than in the age of network information, when media are reporting at a breakneck pace. Journalism of diversity, particularly coverage of religion and ethnicity, it requires support for common values and understanding to counter the spread of ignorance, intolerance, and hatred, which led to discrimination and social tension. So, while we need to cover, while coverage, we must be accurate, well informed, and we follow the ethical. Ethical questions arise most typically in cases where there is a genuine puzzlement about the about what should be done in various types of situations. There is usually some practical importance or urgency to such questions. Is it ethical for journalists to reveal their sources to the courts despite their promises of confidentiality? Is it ethical of the journalists to invade the privacy of politicians, to investigate allegations of unethical conduct? So we will discuss basic ethical theories and social responsibility of press. Now coming to basic ethical theory, etymologically, ethics comes from the Greek word ethos. What is the meaning? Ethos means a good a character, which indicates a concern for various people, reliable character, and proper conduct. Next, morality. Morality is derives from the morals or custom, the rules of conduct of a group or a society. How to be good for the society. And initial definition for ethics, in general, we as a journalism students, we have to be noted that like the analysis, evaluation, and promotion of correct conduct and good character according to the best available standards. The meaning of ethics. Analysis, evaluation, and promotion of correct conduct for good character according to the best available standards. Ethical inquiry can occur on many levels of thought according to the one's focus. There are two main types of ethical inquiry. One is the theoretical ethics and another one is applied ethics. Theoretical ethics is concerned with understanding the nature of ethics, ethical language, and ethical reasoning. The focus of applied ethics is more practical. It wants to reach a particular judgment about what should be done in a situation. For example, a person A, or what is the most coherent ethical view to take toward a serious issue such as abortion or, for example, abortion. However, the ethical here theoretical and applied distinction is not absolute. It is a matter of emphasis and interest. Any serious ethical thinking will include a practical and theoretical consideration. Let us discuss about the ethical journalism. Already we have discussed. But to be ethical journalists need to think and know more, so that in the age of network information, when media are reporting at a breakneck pace, journalism of diversity, particularly coverage of religion and ethnicity, requires support for common values and understanding to counter the spread of ignorance, intolerance, and hatred which led to the discrimination and social tensions. Let us discuss about the theoretical ethics. The theoretical study of the main concepts and methods of ethics will cover in this theoretical ethics. Major questions include the nature of ethical language, the objectivity of ethical beliefs, and the nature of ethical reasoning. So ethical philosophy, for example, the systematic study of ethical experience and justification of moral notions, beginning with those that historically and by current estimation are the most important. See, in the theoretical ethics, for example, the number of theories and there is a many variations are too numerous to list. However, there are several ways in which we categorize and group together the many theories. For example, we focus on a major aspect of ethical action, such as goods, rights, or virtue, or we can categorize theories according to how they justify ethical judgments. Historical perspectives on ethics. What will be, how we have to be maintain the ethics, why we need to maintain the ethics. Journalists claim to be tribunes of the public, protecting their liberty against government. They advocated reform and eventually revolutions. By the end of the 18th century, the press was a socially recognized institution, a power to be praised or feared, with guarantees of freedom in the post-revolution constitutions of America and France. This public ethic was the basis for the idea of a fourth estate, the press as one of the governing institution of the society. Actually, there is no particular indications in the constitution or anywhere, but coming to the Indian context. But we generally, it is called the press as a fourth estate, because the press role is that much to be safeguard the public, to give the public, to give them the support, give them the awareness of the all policies, schemes which are provided by the government. Coming to the stage of the historical perspective of ethics, the first stage is the invention of ethical discourse for journalism. Ethical discourse mainly at Western Europe. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the first who invented, Gutenberg invented the printing machine, you know. So then after news sheets, news books, all are printed versions came. For those also state means the country, the rulers who were thought that to be controlled. So despite the primitive nature of their news gathering and the partisan nature of their times, editors assured readers that they printed the impartial truth based on the matters of the fact. The second stage was the creation of a public ethic as the creed for growing newspaper press, because at the time of the 18th century, 19th century, there is only the newspaper is available in the media, along with a traditional media like various folk dance, folk theater, folk performances is there. But a main mass communication is newspaper. The third stage was the evolution of the idea of the fourth estate into the liberal theory of the press during the 19th century. Liberal theory began with the premise that a free and independent press was necessary for the protection of liberties of the public and the promotion of liberal reforms. Basically, these are the Western, it's mainly focusing on the Western countries, these activities, mainly France and America. The fourth stage was the development and criticism of this liberal doctrine across the 20th century. Beginning of the 20th century, we have only the newspaper available under the mass communication. 1920s, 1930s and 40s, we witnessed the radio as a mass media and television as a mass media. The developers were journalists and ethicists who constructed a professional ethics of objective journalism. This is comes under the social responsibility theory. Objectivism, objective journalism. So objectivism sought to use the fact and impartiality towards the political party to restrain a free press that was increasingly sensational. Generally, we call it as a yellow journalism and dominated by business interests. The critics were journalists who rejected the restraints of the objective professional reporting and practiced more interpretative, partial forms of journalism, such as investigative reporting and activities. Activist means advocacy journalism. By the late 1990s, the liberal and objective professionals model was under attack from many sources as journalism entered its fifth stage, a stage of mixed media. This is we call it as a mixed media. Not only were increasing numbers of non-professional citizen journalists and bloggers engaged in the journalism. But the message, the communicators used interactive multimedia that challenged the ideas of curious verification and gatekeeping. So after multimedia emerged in the media, there is a misinformation, disinformation. So there is a required fact checking, verifications. So far, there is a four normative theories we have in the press, the currently which are influencing in the fifth stage. What are those? You have read in your semester one already. Even those are the liberal theory. Next one, social responsibility theory, and interpretative. Otherwise, we call it as the activist theory, and ethics of community and care. These are the four major influencing theories in the press. Let us discuss about the what is self-regulation and legal regulation. First of all, we would like to know about the ethical code. Self-regulations refers to the ethical guidance of the professional journalistic community. That means each newspaper or a broadcasting company has its own self-regulations. So they ask all their employees, means the reporters, journalists, sub-editors, editors, to follow the regulations. The self-regulation system with its guidelines is independent of the state and the legislation. So there is no involvement by the government, but it aiming to secure the truthfulness and accuracy of journalism, as well as the rights of the reporters and interviewees. For example, to name but a few examples, the self-regulation system of the media is an attempt by editorial office professionals to create and adhere to and oversee voluntary editing guidelines and to open the learning process relating them to the public. The system makes the press independent. The media carry their responsibility for the quality of public discussion, but still maintain perfect editorial independence in the many newspapers nowadays we are seeing. Dear students, if you have any doubts, you may raise your hand. Otherwise, you may type in the chat box. I will read it and get you back with the clarifications. Dear students, now we will discuss about the ethical code. The principle of self-regulation have been written down in the ethical codes of journalism. An ethical code is a set of guidelines that is often more precise than the law. There is a, we know in the Press Council of India, we have read in a previous subject, previous units, we discussed about the Press Council of India guidelines, some how to be act against the children while our professional, in our profession, about women. So all those are the law made by the legislature, but self-regulation is prepared by the own company management. So it defines the readers, journalists, and interviews rights. It also defines the basic principles of guiding journalistic work, such as truthfulness and objectivity. Ethical codes are also nation-specific because of differences in culture and legislation. Additionally, different media can have their own codes. For example, separate ones for the press, television, and online media. Each kind of a media has its own self-regulations. For example, broadcasting means television, 24-hour channels and other serials, also entertainment. There is one agency, broadcasting corporation, one private agency, actually it is. That is given some guidelines to the broadcasters. This is behind the law which is made by the our legislature. Here we need to know about the basic principles remain the same, however, regardless of the country and medium. Some other professional communities also have their own ethical guidelines. So it is also important for the code to be uploaded when needed. For example, a quick development of online journalism as a necessity now, the modifications of code to meet today's standards. Because earlier there is only print media and electronic media, means comes the radio and television only, these three kinds of media. Past, in last 3 decades, we are witnessing the new media, the emerging media. So it is required to reformulate the ethical guidelines for the online media, means that is today's social media. Professional community can also abuse the ethical guidelines and reinforce their own position with it. Even questionable practice can be easily justified by the ethical code. So professional ethics should also remain the object of a critical observation by independent parties, such as the public council for mass media. Generally, we have a Press Council of India because that is established in the year 1970. There is only print media, even though electronic media is there, means television and radio is there, but those two electronic media is under the monopoly of government. So already that is maintaining the guidelines by the government. It was maintained. Then in the 1990s, we witness the satellite channels, we witness the entertainment channel, news channels, 24 hours news channels. So there is required be some guidelines to be changed. The principles of self-regulation have been written down in the ethical codes of journalism. An ethical code is a set of guidelines that is often more precise than the law. It defines the readers, journalists, and interviews rights. When we writing a story, all journalists must consider both legal and ethical issues. Laws are in a place to restrict journalists from reporting things which may damage other people or organizations. Here there is a challenges the journalists who facing. The first one is defamation and another one is privacy, right to privacy. These are two major challenges generally journalists are facing. To overcome this, we must be honest. We must be give the truth. Privacy laws also existed in the our Indian laws. Why these? This is to protect people's private lives. A journalist avoid publishing details about someone's private life that will embarrass or humiliate them. So without their permission, we don't give the details about the in an instant. So as journalism students, we must be follow the one's privacy. Journalists here sometimes the right to privacy can see in a conflict with another human right. The right of freedom of expression. We have journalists and judges must strike a balance between these two rights. Let's we discuss about the legal rights and the responsibilities of journalists. Now we'll discuss about the Declaration of Rights. All rights and duties of a journalist made from these rights of the public to be informed on events and opinions. The journalist's responsibility towards the public excess any other responsibility, particularly towards employers and public authorities. A journalist, however, can respect them their duties while exercising his profession if conditions of independence and professional dignity effectively exist. There is some declaration of rights. We will look in these rights. Journalists claim free access to all information sources. Not only journalists, every citizen has a right. We have a Right to Information Act. But journalists whose profession is to gather the information for the benefit of the public, the society. And the right to freely inquiry on all events conditioning public life. Therefore, secret of public or private affairs may be opposed only to journalists in exceptional cases for clearly expressed motives. The journalist has the right to refuse subordination to anything contrary to the general policy of the information organ to which he collaborates. such as it has been laid down by writing and incorporated in his contract of employment, as well as any subordination not clearly implicated by this general policy. A journalist cannot be compelled to perform a professional act, and a journalist cannot be uh, to express an opinion contrary to his conviction on or his conscience. There is a responsibilities also for the journalist. A journalist has a service to the media, describing public to make sure that the news they report is accurate. Further to accuracy, journalists should ensure that their news writing is unbiased and presents the basic facts for their audience to determine their own set of judgments. Public interest can also be used as a defense for when journalists go a little too far out their way to obtain a story. In case there is a public interest, then maybe reach, sometimes we see some investigation journalists. There is actually a prohibited area, but the investigation area, journalists who trespass the area. But later they defend it because of the public interest. The journalist's duty is to the public, not the government. This is the main point you have to be note down. The journalist's duty is to the public, not the government. But in general, there is a critic. Many newspapers are working with one political party or a one-sided one interest. They are, for example, the party will come to the power. They have to be work for the government only. The journalists should hold the government and others in a power accountable to the citizens. To begin with, the legal rights and responsibilities of any journalist is neither more nor less than any other citizen, because journalist is not a special person, but this is a profession which doing work. There is no separate privileges to the journalist, to the common man compared with the common citizen. But it is a common myth that journalists enjoy much more legal rights and much less responsible than an ordinary person of the society. This is a myth. This is a myth. There is a no good it is not a true. This myth is born out of the nature of the job a journalist performs, because he visits a person, means a higher official with his work. That is, a common citizen cannot be visit a higher official. So generally, everyone thinks that the journalist has more rights. The journalist who is supposed to collect information, but the purpose of to collect the information only is visiting, not for his own work. So how this common perception have evolved that a press person enjoys unlimited rights? It is widely believed that the journalist exposed the wrongdoings in the society or government. He has got the pen or the camera to write or to shoot the pictures. If he is able to do that, and the chance to be correct, the person gets exposed and the people say, oh, what a good job done. But what if information turns out to be wrong? In that case, imagine the harm and injustice done to the person against whom a wrong report is written. So be cautious while reporting, while publishing, while broadcasting as a journalist. Yeah, dear students, now another important responsibility of a press is a social responsibility. The concept of a social responsibility in a journalism allows total press freedom, but governed by external controls. If there is a no control to the journalism, already we are now witnessing in the social media, there is a no truth, no facts, no accuracy. Many fake, mislead informations are widely spreading through the social media apps, social media networks. Social responsibility in journalism combines some elements of liberalism and authoritism by supporting individual rights and autonomy, but at the same time recognizes the governing elite or authorities or influential bureaucrats as the controlling factor of news reporting. This is a main critic in the media, in the context of media. So already I have discussed many news channels, newspapers, even though social media, YouTube channels, news related YouTube channels also influenced by the some elite person, some authority, some bureaucrat. So they are ultimately controlling the media. So libertarian and authoritarian, here completely opposite philosophies in the media. The news makers choice of representative news stories about the ethnicity and religion. In answer to the question, what are the examples of journalism practice that could be usefully explained in order to break down the ethical discrimination, promote intellectual and interreligious understanding, endorse common values, and provide independent and newsworthy information? For this question, this is revealed that the journalists mention ethnicity and religion most frequently when they are writing about immigration, poverty, and crime, discrimination, political issues, and ethnic minorities. So these are some questions and answers. So you have to be understand what have to be do as a journalist. Another important point is sting journalism. This is a sting journalism, otherwise investigation journalism. All these sting operations are the synonyms for media sting operations. These sting operations somewhat started in the year 2000, in the 2000 starting years, the century starting years, where we witnessed a number of sting operations in the news channels. Now, somewhat now it is reduced because the sting operation generally many even in the court also they says that sting operation is not kind of a good practice. So let us look in about the sting operation. What is in sting operation? It is a part of what could be called New Age journalism. With debatable ethical issues involved, it is more effective on the television as a form of a journalism, and in the print media, it is generally referred to as an expose. In the newspapers, in the television, we see exclusive, like exclusive to that particular channel only when sting operation comes. Somewhat about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when a sting operation is done, when was a sting operation is done, they gives the pre intimations when it is to be broadcasted. Whereas comes to the legal parlance, a sting operation is understood as a design concocted in a collaboration with the editor. Perhaps the publisher with a vested interest, a journalist and a videographer. So legal, in the view of a legal, it is a construct, it is a design to design with the editor and journalist and videographer with the publisher's interest only, not by the public interest. This is a controversy in the while going to do sting operations. There is a ethics should be needed to be followed while going to conduct a sting operation. There is a a number of cases previously based on this point. Let us discuss about the discussion on reporting the issues relating to the violence, gender, religion, and caste, etc. Already we have discussed some guidelines which is framed by the Press Council of India about the children and gender and religion, caste, whatever. There are a certain unwritten codes of conduct while reporting communal rights. There is no particular written codes, but even unwritten codes also. So this is because of the guidelines by the Press Council of India and also self-regulations by the media houses. When while reporting the communal rights, rape cases, and wherever the respect and dignity of the women are involved, it is expected that the names of the women concerned will not be published, will not be broadcast. Coming to the, there is an obvious gender bias in our male-dominated society, and women are projected in a bad light. There is also a tendency to project women as an inferior gender which cannot match the capability of the opposite gender. Such reporting has to be curbed. Don't do that kind of a reporting. Whereas comes to the religion and caste, religion and caste plays a key role in the lives of Indians. Rituals, worship, and other religious activities from a prominent part in the daily life of an individual in India. Religion also organizes social life, especially in rural parts of the country. The Indian media give substantial coverage to the religion and the religion related issues, but highlighting mainly the negative and diverse aspects, which perhaps is the case in general reporting to us. So here we need to know some guidelines which are prepared by the Press Council of India authorities. What are the main guidelines? Let us look about these guidelines. The main guidelines: pre-publication verification, caution against the identification, headings not to be provocate, caution in the criticizing judicial acts and reporting proceedings of a legislature, vulgarity to be eschewed, photo coverage on a terror attack, communal clashes and accidents, and caste, religion, community differences, advertisements, how to be a journalist. A journalism should be to be act in a responsible person, responsibility towards the society. Let us discuss one by one in detail. Let us now the first one is pre-publication verification. After new media emerged in this our society today, we are witnessing a number of fake news fake news spreading around the various social media platforms, social media networks, applications. There is a no authenticity, there is a no verification. One who spreading, who are forwarding without any clarity, without any confirmation, without any accuracy, without any thinking. So this is happening. So the Press Council of India's guidelines, first one is a pre-publication verification, because we then only the printing media is only available. So that is why they have focused on the pre-publication verification. But later we have a broadcasting, narrowcasting, and social media widespread of the fake news. So all these also we have to be maintained. Either any medium, it is not only the publication, maybe broadcasting, maybe circulating in the social media platforms. We must be pre-publication verification. We have to do the verification. The guidelines which are focused to the journalists, which are mainly concentrated on the journalists. So any report or any news article of a public interest or a complaint, etc., should be checked for its factual accuracy from other authentic sources. If a image is published in the social media with a write-up, that is a fake news, but without verification, a person who forward to other, who share with other friends without any verification. As a journalism students, this must be verified. Without verify, we could not forward or share it to others. Even though many our journalism students who are in the WhatsApp groups or any social media networks, their account in the social media networks or any platforms. Even though as a journalism students we are not following the same, we are not verifying. Without verifying, we just forwarding to the friends and others, the family members. This is a wrong practice. A document which forms a bias to a news report should be preserved at least for 6 months. In case if a document without, we should not publish it. Once we verify only, we have to be published. Right? Next, caution against the identifications. While reporting crime involving rape or abduction or kidnap of women, females, or sexual assault on children, or raising doubts and questions touching the chastity, personal character, and privacy of women, the names, photographs of the victims, or other particulars leading to their identity shall not be published. Minor children and infants who are the offspring of sexual abuse or forcibly marriage or illicit sexual union shall not be identified or photographed. Intrusion through photography into moments of personal grief shall be avoided. This is the main guideline for the any media, any type of a media, maybe it is a social media or electronic media, even the print media. There is some more guidelines. Headings. Now we'll discuss about the headings. Sensational headings, provocative headings. We see in the newspaper. We see in the newspaper. We see in the electronic media and the new media. The thumbnails, generally we call it is in the new media, YouTube channels. There is a thumbnails. Those thumbnails, the matter is different, but the thumbnails entirely is different, because their aim is to give a sensational, not the accurate matter. So heading itself gives them very much. What is heading? Heading is a abstract of that entire news, a few words abstract. So we should be maintain a proper, accurate heading. That should be focused the news content which are given under the headline. Provocative and sensational headlines are to be avoided. Headings must reflect and justify the matter printed under them. Headings containing allegations made in a statement should either identify the body or the source making it, or at least carry question marks. In case of any suspense, means if you are feeling that is a not a proper heading, you just, if you have to justify, you may just mention the question mark. So then the reporter will be escape from in case of that matter is wrong. Even though that is also not acceptable, but it is demanded, it is required, it is that much of the matter is carried out. Then you may go with the good headline, the attractive headline to the reader. Next one is caution in criticizing judicial acts and reporting proceedings of legislature. Because the legislatures means MPs or MLAs, there is a privileges. They have some privileges. So while reporting news related to the parliament or assembly, the reporter must be aware of about the Parliamentary Proceedings Act, and while covering the court news, there is also, we have a Contempt of Court Act. So be cautious about these two acts. It is open to a newspaper to report pending judicial proceedings in a fair, accurate, and reasonable manner. In case of legislature, newspapers have to duty to report faithfully the proceedings of either House of Parliament or Legislative Assembly, which is open for the media. only fair and accurate and reasonable manner only, in the reasonable manner only we have to be related to the courts and the houses of parliament and assembly. Another guideline by the PCI are vulgarity, absentee and vulgarity to be eschewed. Newspapers and also journalists shall not publish anything which is absence, which is vulgar or which is offensive to public good taste. Newspapers shall not display advertisements which are vulgar or which through depiction of a woman in a nude or lewd posture. The globalization and liberalization do not give license to the media to misuse freedom of the press and to lower the values of the society. But we see there is many critics against advertisements where a woman is appeared. But those are not following the guidelines by the Press Council of India. There is some loopholes. Based on their loopholes, the advertisers are giving some vulgarity on women also. There is a number of cases against, any number of cases are pending in the court of law. Next one is photo coverage on terrorist attack or the communal clashes and accidents. While reporting news with regard to terror attacks or communal rights, or the media should refrain from publishing, telecasting pictures of mangled corpses or any other photographic coverage which may create terror or distaste or ignite communal excitement among the people. So it shall avoid presenting acts of violence, armed robberies, and terrorist activities in a manner that glorifies their acts. We generally nowadays in newspapers, earlier there is some 10 years ago, a road accident with a blooded victim, deceased, also published. But now some regulations are following. Even nowadays newspapers and television channels, they are giving a black and white picture instead of a color with blood stains, all those. Nowadays, some newspapers are still some following, and while some attacks they are marking the faces. They are giving some rub, some diluting the faces. It is following in some major newspapers still. Another major point is here to discuss about the caste, religion, and community differences, because India is a diversity of caste, religion, communities, so language. There is a number of variations in India. In general, the caste identification of a person or a particular class should be avoided. If we mention it, it will go for the violence. It is a provocative. So, as per the guidelines by the by the Press Council of India, in the newspapers or in the media, television media or electronic media, newspapers and television media are advised against the use of word, even though use of word of scheduled caste or origin which has been objected to be someone. In place, generally they are using some others using Dalit word. So there is some confusion. Whatever it is, maybe we must, it should not be very, the words while we are writing, it should not be provocate others among the particular community to be go for violence. So be cautious while giving the details about the caste, religion, community, etc. Newspaper should not publish any fictional literature destroying and portraying the religious or well-known characters in an adverse light, offending the vulnerable sections of the society, to hold those characters in a light esteem. It is the duty of newspaper and electronic media and new media, social media, whatever it is, to ensure that the tone, spirit, and language of a writer is not objectionable, provocative, or against the unity and integrity of the country. So it is maybe clear to you. The last point in this guidelines, that is advertisements. General advertisements in electronic media, we call it is a commercial. In a newspaper, we call it is a advertisement. Commercial advertisements are information such as social, economic, and political information. So for those purpose, they give the advertisements by the advertisers, by the companies, by the producers, by the MDs and CMDs of the particular company. What is more, journalistic responsibility demands the advertisement must be clearly distinguishable from news content carried in the newspaper. In generally, at the recent some 2-3 before general elections, there is a paid news. Actually, those are the advertisements, but the text is same as similar to the news, but it is particularly related to the one party only. So that is needed to be clearly be different, whether that is a advertisement or that is a news. Somewhat it may before 2 general elections, there is a restrictions followed by the election commission. So somewhat it is lower compared with some 3 or 4 before the general elections. Dear students, so far we have learned about the media ethics, ethical journalism, self-regulations, legal regulations, some ethical guidelines by the Press Council of India. We have discussed so far in this session how to be write a news related to the caste, religion, and the community, the differences between the advertisement and the news, all we have discussed. And we will come with a new topic in the next session. Thank you very much. In the next session, we will discuss about the exclusive about the Press Council of India. Right. Thank you very much, dear students. We will meet again with the topic Press Council of India in the next session. Thank you very much. If you have any doubts, this is a counseling class. If you have any doubts, you may raise your hand. Otherwise, you may type in the chat box. I will read it and get you back with the clarifications. Here I am concluding this session. We'll meet again in the next week.